And while Susan was playing her beautiful harp music, thank you very much, she couldn't see me smiling, and the tempo today absolutely matched my mental activity. I don't know, maybe it matches the kind of winds that we've had being whipped up too. Um, but in some strange way, just having the echo of my mind in music, it seemed like it quieted it down. So thank you. We're going to begin by, well, let me just telegraph what we're about to do today. The practice is based on standing poses mainly, and over the last few sessions we've emphasized our feet and the way we stand on our feet and the arches of our feet and all of that, which never goes astray. But the emphasis today will be a little bit more on the upper part of your body, the dorsal thoracic, and particularly where your back of your chest and your shoulder blades are. And let's begin from a standing up position for our warm-up. And so that's a bit of a change for us too. We've been lying down and warming up hips and knees and feet and all of that. But let's work on hips from the standing position with some circles. This is really loose and includes the knees being relaxed and the elbows being loose. And going around the opposite direction. And what would be really lovely is if you can figure out how to do a figure 8 or something that resembles that, which does bring into play more of the upper body. And I don't know, can you make a figure 8 the opposite way? Probably. I don't know if I can do it. The main thing is movement. My colleague Maria Kirsten used to say, motion is lotion. Okay, and let's add some arm movements with the shoulder tap. And this is interesting. If you keep your head facing forward, you're just still looking towards the camera direction. And then you incorporate rotating your neck and your head. 2 different movements. And let your breathing be full. And then we'll come to a standstill. Very nice. So incorporating your arms in this now. Before we do that, just a couple of reminders of working with your anatomy in a kind of graceful and efficient way. Bring your hands onto your lower rib cage and feel where those ribs can protrude if you push them forward. Actually, you're transferring your weight onto your forefoot too. And then if you bring them back and you have the weight balanced between your forefoot and your heel, then they're much more relaxed. And you want the bottom ribs to feel like they're part of the whole of the torso instead of poking out. So let your bottom ribs settle, and you might feel that as a softening through the kidney area too. Another thing is when you bring your arms straight up and overhead, that movement is really incorporating, elevating your shoulder blades. And then you bring your arms back down. But it's slightly different if you take your arms out to the side and just halfway lifting them. That's the elevation of the shoulder blades. Now we can start to rotate them out. And when you make that big sweeping movement, then you're really exploring the whole range of flexibility and movement through the shoulder blades. So let's do a couple of that. as though you're putting your brain in the back of your chest and really feeling movement from the bottom of your shoulder blades to your shoulders. And then let your breath be a little fuller when you inhale. And pause at the top and get another little puff of breath, inhalation. And then exhale all the way down. And a little puff of breath out as you draw the abdomen back. Good. Okay, and that's the kind of area that we're going to be working with. All right, and then coming to a rest now. Let's take the block. So you have your foam block handy. You're going to need a chair for today's practice at some point, but we're not quite there yet. So take the block and place it on the mid-range between your knees and your, but basically just above your thighs. And then with your hands onto the outside of your hips, just kind of encourage your hips and your legs to internally rotate and press against your block. So a little squeeze there begins to incorporate some of the leg work that we've done over the weeks that we've been doing these classes. So feel that light squeeze against the block. And then keeping the back of the knees soft, let's bring the arms up all over again. A little extra breath in, and then lowering the arms and a little extra breath out. Good. We're going to move into some standing, some salutes to the sun before we do the standing poses. So let's leave that block to the side for the time being. And incorporating the movement with the breath as well. So turn towards the short end of your mat. Let's see. Bring your hands around the back of your head. Interlock your hands. And your hands cradling the base of your skull. And then allow your head to start to rotate back and look up towards the ceiling, but feel like at the same time you're lengthening the back of your neck by just holding there at the occiput. And then do a little bit of a dip of the head towards your jugular notch and go through that range of movement again, looking up. It's a natural inhalation, isn't it? And then chin down and looking down, and a very nice lengthening through the back of your neck. One more. Length through the back of your neck in that backward position, and then length at the back of your neck in the forward position. Good. That's going to come in handy as we go through the salutes when you are looking in an upward direction. So with your arms back down by your side, bring your hands into prayer position. And then soften those lower ribs so they feel like they're relaxed towards your abdomen. Keep your elbows up a little bit. And even there's a kind of broadening through the shoulder blades. And then extending your arms up. Inhale, head comes back a little bit with length there. And exhale, dive forward into Uttanasana, head down position. Slide your hands onto the shin bones just below the knees. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, fall forward again. Let's change the arm position, and this time bring your arms out wide to the side in the big sweeping gesture. Inhale, look up, palms together, prayer position, and exhale, sweep the arms out wide and back to base, hands in front of the chest. That was a very long salute. Inhale, go up. Exhale, go forward and down. Inhale, concave your back. Exhale, drop forward. Release the back of your neck. Inhale, bend the knees a little bit as you come up. Exhale, back to prayer. I'm going to add a dog pose this time, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Inhale, look up. Exhale, look towards your sternum. Inhale, head up. Exhale, step back, Adho Mukha. Let's take a few breaths there so that you can walk the dog just by pedaling your feet. All right, and then hold that position steady. And let's continue to come out of the salute, walking forward. And sweep the arms out wide, knees a little bit bent. Inhale. Exhale, back to prayer. Let's do that all over again with a little bit more pace. Inhale to exhale. Inhale, downward facing dog pose. And taking a different tack, bend your knees a bit, just a small bend at the back of your knees, and then stretch your shoulders. Move your inner shoulder blades towards your waist to release the back of your neck and let your chin come towards the notch of your throat. Good, straightening your legs, take a walk forward, completing the cycle. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Prayer. In breath. Out breath. In breath, open chest. Step back, downward facing dog pose. Good. Now incorporating all of that. So nice calf muscle stretch, back of your knees to your heels. Lovely shoulder stretch as you release the shoulder blades back towards your hips. Release the back of your neck. Take a walk in. Uttanasana, head down. Inhale, come out of the salute. Inhale, prayer. Back to base. All right, let's add a chair pose. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Bend your knees. Inhale, sweep your arms forward. Sit your buttocks back, chair. Exhale, bring your hips back a little further. Inhale, join your hands overhead as you straighten your legs. And exhale, back to prayer. All over again. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, head up. Exhale, head down. Start to bend your knees, draw your buttocks back. Inhale, sweep your arms forward. Good. Let's hold it and work a little bit into this really important pose. Your hips come back, the knees move back, the thigh bones back into the hips, and your arms extended just a little bit in front of your ears. Take another breath. Inhale. Come up to standing, straight legs, join your hands. Exhale, prayer pose. Beautiful. And then a little bit more quickly, one more round with the chair. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, head up. Exhale, head down. Inhale, sitting back for a nice comfy chair pose. Exhale there, hips back. Inhale, come up, joining the hands. Exhale to prayer. Beautiful. All right, let's continue with some standing poses. The first one is triangle pose, Trikonasana. So turning sideways on your mat to face the long end of the mat. And step out. Good. Turn the left foot in a little bit to the left. Turn your right foot 90 degrees to the right. And line up the center of your right heel with your left heel bone. Then bring your hands onto your hips. We've already got a little tilt of the hips going on, but let's come back to base and have your notch of your throat, the bottom of your sternum, and the perineum all in one line. And then feel a solid weight through your legs. Squeeze the outer hips together. Lift the arches of your feet, inner arches, outer arches. Good. Sweep your arms out wide. Feel what you've done to extend the shoulder blades, and then reach out to the right. And merely drop your right hand beneath your shoulder. Extend the left arm up towards the ceiling. Just pause there for a moment. And we'll make a few self-adjustments. Bend your left elbow and touch the top of your rib cage, your left ribs, and let them sink a little bit down into your right ribs. When I do that, my left hip relaxes forward a little bit too. And then re-extending the left arm. Good. And breathing. And just to make your neck a little bit more comfortable, possibly move the inner edges of your shoulder blades towards your hips. Inhale, come up. Good. Re-extend the arms out sideways. Turn the feet the opposite way. Good. Readjust that optimum distance of your feet, and then the right foot turns in, left foot turns out, the heels line up. Good. Keep reaching out towards the side walls until you feel that the shoulder blades are a little bit more active. And then extend left, and left hand down, right arm up. I think that adjustment worked really well. Bend your right elbow. Rest your right hand onto the top of your ribs, just beneath your armpit, and then soften those ribs and let them drop down into the lower ribs. Re-extend your right arm and move your inner shoulder blades away from your neck. Good. Feel your feet strong, your ankles firm. And inhale and come up. Extend the arms out sideways. And let's go all over again to the right side. Adjust your distance if you need to. Adjust your feet. Good. And then starting from base, where your torso is all in one line, head over the shoulders, shoulders over the ribs, perineum, and then extend right and bring your right hand down. Now you don't really have to do the palpating of your ribs. You can just feel where the left ribs are. Let them release down. Shoulder blades back towards your hips. And then before we finish, feel the outer edges of your shoulder blades. You can't see them, but see if you can sense and feel where they are. And let them, the outer edges, hold to the outer ribs a little bit more. So it feels like you have more energy in your back. And inhale and come up. And flip the other way. And up to the left. We're not rushing, we've got time to do those two qualities, looking for stability and firmness, but also a relaxed position where you can breathe easily, you can feel your diaphragm moving. And that simple adjustment, drop the right ribs, move the inner shoulder blades back from your neck. Good. Inhale and come up. And turn your feet forward. Just rest your hands onto your hips for a moment. And let's take some shoulder rolls. Good. One more round. Turn your feet to the right. Okay. Come back to center. So the diaphragm, the center of it, lines up the pit with the perineum. And then extend right. And so that we don't make this a kind of perfunctory approach to the pose, we want to keep it fresh. Let's add another adjustment. So feel your right arm and then back into the back of your armpit and the right shoulder blade, and tuck the right shoulder blade a little forward. When I do that, I find that I can rotate a little bit more. Right shoulder blade comes forward, left shoulder blade comes back a little bit, the outer edge of it. In-breath brings you up. Hip to the left. Good. Now don't stint. Extend out towards the side walls. And then lengthen and left hand down, right arm up. Good. And then working with that last adjustment, feel into your left shoulder blade and draw it towards your left lung, towards the front of your body. Bring the right side back slightly. Keep the feet strong, lift the arches again, firm the outer hips, and up you come. Good. Turn your feet in. I promise you that was the last one. And stepping into center. Good. Let's take the Uttanasana break with your arms folded. So your thumbs rest in the crease of your elbows. Inhale, stretch up. And then exhale, come forward and down. Just feel like you're hanging upside down like one of our local flying foxes hanging in a tree. And in the spirit of that, relax your side ribs. And then put all of your intelligence into the back of your chest again and feel the space between your shoulder blades and let it broaden slightly. Think of that being the back of your heart, and you've just given your heart more space. Good. And then drop your arms and bend your knees forward and come up with loose arms. Your head comes up last. Okay. Let's do the standing pose, Warrior One pose, Virabhadrasana 1. So turn to face the long end, short end of your mat again. Right foot forward, left foot back. So you're facing the short end of your mat with both hips squarely facing forward. So you have to keep turning on that back leg sometimes to get that profile. All right, and then once you've determined that, then let's take the lunge position, right leg bends. Maybe keep your hands onto your hips here. And when I've bent my front leg, I've got a short stance, so my knee is forward of my toes. So I'm going to step a little further forward. So my knee bone is above my ankle bone. Good. So you've done a nice job there, I can tell, by squaring your hips. See if you can square your chest a little bit more by coming forward from the left side of your chest. Bring the left shoulder blade forward. Good. And then from there, Extend your arms up. Good. And steady on your feet. This is one of those poses where it's really easy to collapse the inside of your feet. So pressing your big toe, inside heel, lift up those arches. Good. And then chin up, look up, lengthen up. Good. And lowering your chin and releasing hands back to your hips, straight front leg. Turn the opposite way or just step left foot to right and change your legs. Good. Making those early adjustments and then bending your left leg. Good. Take the turn the slight rotation from the right side of your back chest. Your right shoulder blade comes forward, and then we're ready to bring the arms up. And tilting your chin up. Remember, cradling your head into your hands. Lift from the base of your skull. Relax your diaphragm ribs at the front of your chest. Soften them down again. And then releasing from the pose and hands back to your hips, straight left leg. Step right foot forward or turn the other way. Okay, so having established the basics there for your stability and flexibility, take the lunge position again, make your adjustments. And just as a reminder, bring your right hand onto your lower ribs and send the message to soften the ribs down. So it feels like there's an integrity of the whole torso instead of a split at the diaphragm. And then arms up again. And chin up. And let's see what happens if you bring your weight into the back leg a little bit more. Feel the strength of that back leg as you tone the left buttock, left shoulder blade forward, and then releasing from the base of your neck down through the inner shoulder blades towards your hips. Good. And then straight front leg, hands to your hips, change your legs. Okay, so it's quite nice when you can repeat the poses in this way. I think it is. So you get layers of awareness of the pose. And now after you take the lunge, move forward from the right side, the right shoulder blade, beautiful. Good, and then let's be in the pose with your arms overhead. And then right shoulder blade slightly forward. Then lean back just a little into the back leg. Inner arches of the feet lifted. Okay, and then when your hands come down, straighten the front leg. You ready for one more round? Yes. Right foot forward, left foot back. Okay, and let's have a little fun with this. So now your hips are square, your shoulders are square. Bend your right leg, and then with your right hand, waggle the leg slightly. You're really rolling the ankle at the same time. And then create some resistance. Bring the flat of your right palm on the inside of your right thigh and press against your hand. Press into your hand until you start to feel your hips, your leg muscles toning. And so no more waggle for the time being, and bringing your arms up. So the outer hips strong. And maybe in keeping that tone, more abdominal strength too, drawing up from your pubic bone to your ribs. All right, one more time, let's adjust from the back body, inner shoulder blades down towards your waist. And finally releasing. And last side. Third round. And how about you take time now, I'll be silent, and you take time to be in the pose, adjust the pose, find those adjustments, those ones that you can remember, and completing the pose with the hands overhead. All right, good. And then calmly and quietly releasing from the pose, let's go straight into dog pose. See if you can do that and move from your lunge into downward facing dog pose. Which is a good counter pose here. Stretch out your shoulders, stretch out your back. And child's pose. For child's pose, keep your arms forward. And just let your hips soften down towards the floor. Your ribs rest towards your thighs. And especially let your shoulders drop out. Your shoulder blades, let them fall out to the side. All right, and then slide your hands in. Come up just a little bit. We're going to do a lateral movement here, which prepares us for the next standing poses. So take a walk with your hands around to the left side. Just pad your hands around to the left side. But keep your chest up. When your chest is buoyant like this, then it's easier to rotate your ribs. And facing towards the left side. And then stretch out. Notice for you where you feel the ribs extending, opening. And I'd wager a guess it's on the right side. So come up a little bit again and take your ribs across the left thigh a little bit further to the left and see if you can extend the left side too. All right, take a walk the other way and all the way around. What's going to happen when you get right around to the right is that your left buttock starts to lift up. So see if you can keep it a little more downwards, and that even improves the lateral movement. And that extra adjustment, ribs over the right thigh to the right. All right, and then let's take our exit through child's pose, cat pose, and then downward facing dog pose. Walk your feet forward, walk your hands back, and inhale and come up. Good. Take your chair. Take a chair. But don't sit in it. And this is a treat, I think, for me. Hold the sides of the chair with a firm grip, and then step your feet back and give yourself a very nice back stretch. Even nicer if you bend your knees a little bit. I think it's nicer for me. And lift your buttock bones up towards the ceiling. And then what's it like if you come up onto your tippy toes with your knees slightly bent and your buttock bones high? This is a good therapeutic movement, I think. And lower your heels and then take a little walk in and come up. Good. And stay facing your chair and step right foot forward and your left foot back. Your right foot's back a little bit from the edge of the legs of the chair. And you've got about 1 meter's distance between your feet. Bring your right hand down to your right waist. And then bend forward from the top of your thighs, from your hip fold, and place just your left hand onto the seat of the chair. Slide your left hand across to the right side, so the left hand and the right foot are in a line. You're all set up to rotate now, so keeping that left arm straight, turn towards the right side, lifting your right side of your rib cage and bringing your right elbow back. How much can you take that elbow back with the shoulder coming back too? Good. And then let's try on extending the right arm up towards the ceiling. Make sure that that's a safe and happy movement for your right arm. And if it's not, you can keep your hand onto your hip. Beautiful. And then look back towards your left hand, right hip. Keep your feet strong, bend your knees a little bit, inhale and come up. And then change your legs. Left foot forward. Left hand, left hip. Right hand onto the seat of the chair. These are broad brush strokes for the pose Parvita Trikonasana. And then looking to the left side, bring the left elbow back, bring the left shoulder back. It lifts a little bit more towards the ceiling. And then go there with your left arm up. Good. And then looking back towards your right hand, left hip. Bend your knee a little bit, come on up. And right foot forward, left foot back. So we'll add some finer brush strokes this time. And then take yourself right into the pose. You know the pathway. Left hand onto the seat of the chair, right arm up. Or keeping your hand onto your hip and just bringing your shoulder back if that's more comfortable in your shoulder. When that right arm is extended, draw up from your left wrist to your left armpit. So you're drawing the left rib slightly more away from the floor. And then to improve your rotation, to rotate a little bit more, move your left shoulder blade forward. Left shoulder blade in towards your left lung. Good breathing. And how about the arches of your feet? That back one so easily collapses. And then looking down and right hand down, Flex that front knee, inhale and come up, and change sides. And find your way into the beginning of the pose, right hand down, left arm up. You're looking towards the left side or looking up at your left thumb if your neck moves easily that way, and allowing the rotation to deepen so the right shoulder blade comes forward. The right shoulder blade into the body towards the front body. And then let's look down and releasing for the last round, and right foot forward, left foot back. That's right, and be in the pose. And a few more fine brush strokes. So you've established that turn so well. Now, left shoulder blade forward. Yes. Good. And you're looking upwards if you can, or looking straight forward the same way as the front of your chest. Good. Now move the inner shoulder blades away from your neck, so the neck can turn a little bit more freely. Good. Keep the outer shoulder blades firm onto the ribs. Feel your back muscles engage. And inhale and come up. And left foot forward, right foot back. I promise you, last round. Okay, so working with the flexibility of the upper back again. And particularly from the right side now, right shoulder blade comes forward. And then that lovely neck release, the cervical releasing as you move the inner shoulder blades towards your waist. Feel the outer shoulder blades on the outer ribs. And from here, we're moving straight into the release pose. So look back towards your right hand. Bend your left knee a little bit. Both hands onto the edges of the outside of the chair. Step back for your back stretch, either feet down or heels up. Good work. And then take a walk forward. And we've almost earned a rest, but not quite. Facing towards the long end of your mat once more. Take up your block. Step out wide. Toe in. All right, and there's the block in front of you. On the vertical or on the mid-range is good. Good. Just as a reminder, bring your hands onto the tops of your thighs where your hip fold is, and then take your halfway forward bend from that area, from the tops of your thighs. And then reach your hands down onto the block. Take a momentary rest there where you're supported. But instead of bracing yourself with your arms, draw up from your wrists to your armpits. Feel the outer shoulder blades again firm onto the back, onto the side ribs. Good. And then let's do another rotation. Left hand to the center of your block, right hand onto the right hip. Turn, turn, turn. And as you're prepared to, and if you wish to, extend up your right arm towards the ceiling. Now, this is a real a awareness exercise for the other side of your body. So that left leg has collapsed a little bit. So pump up the arch of the left foot. Feel the inner left knee lift. Beautiful. And then as you extend that arm, looking out to the right, and then release, and other side. Right hand's the supporting hand, left hand, left hip. Draw up from your right wrist to your right armpit, and then initiate your turn. Take the left arm up if you wish, or keep your hand onto your hip, that's fine. Now work the right leg. Lift the inner arch of your right foot, lift your inner right knee, establish the weight back into the right heel, then turn from there. Good, and then looking down, and both hands down, and shuffle your feet into center. Here you go. And up you come. Good work. And then shake it out. Shake all the joints of your body. Good. And since you've got the chair there, let's take a twist using the chair, which is such a nice way of doing the twist. And we'll start with the right side facing the back of the chair. Sit side settle. And once you're seated, then bring your hands onto the top of the chair. And this is a really beautiful pose for working from the back of your chest. Lift your elbows up and feel the wings of your shoulder blades out to the side ribs. And turning. Right. And then still relating to your back chest. Move the right shoulder blade in towards your spine. Move the left shoulder blade out away from the spine. Good. Side two. Left side facing the back of the chair. 2 feet on the ground and close together. Hands onto the top of the chair. Right, and relax your shoulders. So much easier to turn when your upper body's relaxed. And then here we go. And the elbows a little wider. And the right shoulder blade moving in towards the spinal column, the left shoulder blade moving out. You might be feeling the squeeze through your abdominal muscles. That's a good result. Good. And then turning back to center. Let's go one more round with a slight difference. So the right side facing the back of the chair. And start facing directly towards your legs. So we're not turning yet. And leave your hands onto your thighs. Then let the weight of your hands travel through the lower legs and your feet and feel grounded there. Your hips grounded where you sit on the chair. Relax your shoulders. And then let's work with the breath this time. You might even want to keep your eyes closed for a more reflective way of doing this. And when you bring your hands up onto the back of the chair, beginning your rotation, it works well for most people. Inhaling, getting length in an upward direction, and exhale, turning. So let there be a softness gentleness in the way that you're turning. Not so much levering yourself around, but turning by dint of your breath. All right, and then looking back towards your legs and releasing your hands back to your thighs. Sitting squarely once more, grounded, and other side. Just start out, you're going nowhere, you're just finding your comfort in your base, your feet, your hips, this general attitude of relaxation. And then 2 hands onto the top of the chair and working with the breath this time. Just one more breath like that. And facing the legs again, hands onto your thighs. And ready to move on, come off the chair. And we're going to use the chair for a slightly inverted pose. So take a lying down position in front of your chair and bring your legs up onto the seat of the chair. Your lower legs supported, your thigh bones more or less perpendicular to the floor. Can you wiggle your bum forward and hold the front chair legs? And then roll your shoulders out and tuck your shoulder blades in. And redo that adjustment one more time. Bring your arms in closer to your body. Tuck your shoulder blades in towards the front of your chest. And then with a firm handhold onto the legs of the chair, bend your knees in a little bit closer to you. And then lift your bottom. And lower back down. Where is that lift coming from? From strong weight through your heels or your soles of your feet. Try it again. Lift up. And also from the backs of your thighs. Lifting up. Keep the shoulder blades tucked into center. And then coming back down. For one more round, and in your lifting up, this depends on your anatomy too. You could step your feet in a little bit closer to the edge of the chair, or even hook your feet over the edge of the chair. And then for the last time, tuck under. You can move your elbows maybe in closer to each other. And then since this is the last round, lift by energizing the backs of your thighs as though you're trying to move the hamstrings up towards the front thigh muscles, the quadriceps. And then lower back down And when you touch down, then release your hands from the chair. Move your hands and your arms out a little distance from your body. Spread your shoulder blades. And just generally relax. All right, and then let's finish the cycle of the asanas. Just move your chair out away from you and have a free space on your mat. Take your block, and while you're lying on your mat, face up, slip the block underneath your lower back, your sacrum. And then lift one foot off the floor, the second foot off the floor. Have your hands at the front of your knees. And then tuck a little bit more as you bring your thighs towards you. Keep your feet and your knees parallel. And then to stretch your lower back out, move your sitting bones towards the floor. It may seem counterintuitive because the more that you bring your knees in, the more that you're rounding through your lower back. But just to mitigate that a little bit more, keep moving the sitting bones down. So we're doing this as a therapeutic movement, just to release the lower back. So it should feel like your legs are quite active. All right, and then let's let that go. Feet back on the floor, slip out the block. Keep your feet a little separated, and then let's do a floor rotation, knees to the right and then knees to the left for several rounds like that. And do let your head rotate if that feels nice for you. And when you feel like you're ready to pause, then knees straight up again. And it's time we were setting ourselves up for the yoga relaxation. So take what you need in the way of props for that, for your utmost comfort. And once you feel like you've settled in, I hope it's going to be relaxing for you, but this is more of a visualization. It has to do with the air that we breathe. And this visualization comes by way of a man named Per Esper Stocknes, who's a Swedish politician, psychologist, and also environmental activist. So he's created this lovely visualization on the air that we breathe. Imagine and sense that the air that you're breathing right now, the living air, you can feel it in your nostrils. And this air is also the earth's skin. It's an amazingly thin skin layer compared with the size of our planet and the huge universe it shields us from. This layer of air looks infinite when we look up at the sky. But actually, beautiful, breathable air is only about 5 to 7 miles thin. And it creates a fragile wrapping around a massive ball. Inside the skin, we're all so closely connected. The breath that you've just taken has particles in it that Gandhi may have breathed. And inside this thin, fluctuating layer, all of life is nourished, protected, and held. It insulates and regulates temperatures in a range that's just right for water and life as we know it. Between the blue oceans and the sky, the clouds carry all the billions of tons of water needed for our soils. The clouds and the air fill the rivers, stir the waters, and water the forests. And in some ways, the air that we breathe is under threat by the heating of our planet. So in this moment, and acknowledging the preciousness of the breath that you're breathing, be aware of that threat. And why do we have to be so considerate of the air that we breathe? Because we're all in it together. This environment is the ground of being that we exist in as human beings. We're earthlings who exist in this living air. anticipation of being active soon, take some quiet breaths. And on an exhalation, when you're ready, no rush, roll onto your side. Stay curled up for another few breaths there. Until you're absolutely sure that you're ready to come up. And have a seated position. And take a little extra care to sit in a upright position. Maybe you need a little more support underneath your hips. When we sit for meditation or for pranayama, the yoga controlled breathing, there's a few tips that you can get for sitting comfortably and in that upright position. Well, one of them is, you might close your eyes for a moment so you can go through these adjustments in a more focused way. So as you're sitting, feel the whole spinal column from the tailbone up to the base of your skull. And putting your attention there, create space along the spinal column without creating any tension. And then where your hands rest on your lap or onto your thighs if you're cross-legged, relax your shoulders. And you've discovered some new ways of doing that. I hope you have, through the adjustments we made in the standing poses. And just move the inner edge of your shoulder blades down towards your waist. And feel for the length of the back of your neck. And then to adjust the openness through the chest, feel the outer edges of your shoulder blades, where they rest against the outer ribs, and firm them in a little bit more. So the shoulder blades firm against the side ribs. And in that adjustment, you might feel the abdominal area draw back as well. Without tension, all of it without tension. And then let's finish our practice bringing the hands up and placing them in prayer position, center chest. And lift the elbows out a little bit from the sides. And broaden the front of your chest. Dip your chin slightly towards the center chest, to the heart, really, as you elevate the heart. Feeling appreciative of the practice, of the tradition of yoga, and also of coming together in community. Namaste. All right. Thank you. Thank you there. Thank you there.